Sean Strickland versus Dracus du Plessis, UFC 297 just finished up, and wow, what a night for the underdogs! I actually broke even for this event. I'm actually happy that I broke even, but I'll tell you guys, what bets I made, and but first let me go over the fights, okay? And I'm just gonna go over the main event, pretty much just the main card, okay? So starting off with Arnold Allen versus Movsar W. I did predict Movsar to have the advantage here, and the reason why is because I mentioned that Arnold Allen has fought primarily strikers the last, I don't know, like 3 to 4 fights, right? So I thought it was going to be really tough for him to adjust to Movsar, who is very well rounded, extremely good at wrestling, very good at cardio. His striking has gotten so much better, and he looked amazing this fight versus Arnold Allen. Arnold looked sort of tired after he tried to get Movsar to stop grappling with him, just to get him off him. Arnold was struggling. He grambied like a few times to try and get him off him, and then after that, Movsar started to open up on the feet. So we've seen Movsar Evloev do that versus Dan Ige. Right? He chained the takedowns, went to the striking when Dan Ige was tired. You usually don't see that out of a lot of wrestlers, right? Most wrestlers continue to go towards that wrestling, whereas Movsar wrestles him, gets him tired, and then he opens up with the striking. So I really like Movsar's game. Definitely a potential title contender. Let's see who he fights next. I want to see him fight against another good wrestler and potentially striker, another well-rounded fighter. So we did get that pick right, Movsar Evloev. I did put some money on that. I took him at minus 175 when it first came out. I thought those were pretty good odds. So I did win a little bit there. Next fight, Marc-Andre Barriault versus Chris Curtis. All right, this was a no bet for me, just because Chris Curtis doesn't have a lot of output. He's kind of one-dimensional with his boxing, but he does have good power, good defense, and good wrestling defense, takedown defense. Honestly, I thought Marc-Andre was kind of a live dog here, and I was surprised he didn't come out harder sooner. He didn't really put on that power bar pace, and I think if he would have done that from the first round, he could have easily won this fight, because he kind of gave away that first round. Like, what are you doing? He didn't throw anything. He was kind of waiting around for Chris Curtis, just because I guess Chris Curtis is a counterpuncher and Marc-Andre wanted to get Chris Curtis out of his zone. But that's not how you beat Chris Curtis from past fights. The best way to beat Chris Curtis is to constantly pressure, right? Because Chris Curtis comes out kind of slow. He doesn't really do well when people throw a lot of output at him, a lot of strikes, and continue with that route. And I think Marc-Andre, his style is a pretty good style that matches up with Chris Curtis's, boxing and counter style. So kind of a boring fight the first 2 rounds. Chris Curtis squeaked by, but honestly, I would like to see more from Curtis moving down the line. I don't think he's going to be, really a contender or really going to be able to go up in the rankings if he continues to fight so one-dimensional like that. I would like to see him, I don't know, just pressure more at least if you're a boxer, right? Or just throw some kicks or just, but yeah, honestly, kind of a boring fight. Marc-Andre, I think he's going to learn from that. To go back to his power bar pressure style, because again, he could have definitely won that fight. He was coming out with elbows in the clinch, knees, good short punches, good dirty boxing. He definitely looked like a fresher fighter. He started getting his overhands in. He started landing on Chris pretty well. So I think, I think he's going to do better. I think Marc-Andre actually showed more than Chris Curtis. So I think Marc-Andre looked better in this fight than Curtis, in my opinion. But Chris Curtis did squeak out a win, so it's all good. Next fight, Neil Magny versus Mike Malott. I was kind of... Oh, man. I was like, wow, really? Mike Malott just completely blew his wad in that 3rd round. it was really disappointing because I thought Mike had enough potential and had enough cardio to be able to hold down Magny enough to where he'd be able to kind of coast to a win here. Because, guys, Neil Magny has not looked good the last two fights. He has not fought great competition the last two fights. He barely threw anything. But for some reason, obviously, versus, Mike, he comes out and... honestly, I think Mike just looked terrible in that third round, right? I don't think Malott even did that much to get tired. He didn't throw a lot, that's for sure. He did wrestle him, but he was on top, right? He was on top, controlling the round. He didn't throw like super heavy strikes to try and knock out Neil Magny. So it was really disappointing to see that Mike, only after 2 rounds of that, he couldn't keep it up in the third round. So as soon as Neil Magny got on top of him, Neil Magny was able to take him down. Mike Malott went for a guillotine, which is a terrible idea in the third round. Especially if you're tired, he should have went for the underhooks and try to get up. Instead, Neil Magny basically mounts him, throws like these like weakish like strikes. They weren't even that hard, but Mike just couldn't get up. So that is the last time I put money on a guy who is unproven, right? No matter how good he looks, guys, just don't do it. Just don't put money on a negative -350 favor if the guy has not fought any good competition, no matter how good he looks, because I continue to pay for that. Neil Magny plus 1,000 to win in that third round. If I would have seen that, I would have hedged, but all good. Neil Magny, wow, comes out of nowhere and still shows that he could still be a gatekeeper in this division. So I thought he was personally done from his last 2 fights, but man, that was crazy to watch. But next fight, Raquel Pennington versus Mayra Bueno Silva. So thank God I won this fight, Raquel plus 140. Actually, everything I predicted pretty much came true. Right? No one watched my video with Mayra Bueno Silva versus Raquel Pennington. I did think Mayra had some good calf kicks. She had good power, and I did think Raquel was going to struggle just a little bit, maybe in that first or second round. But Mayra, just like Mike Malott, has fought very weak competition, and she has not even looked good versus that competition. Takes a lot of heavy strikes, very poor head movement. Right? Even versus other fighters who aren't great at takedowns or wrestling, she's been taken down plenty of times. So I thought Raquel was going to be stronger in the clinch overall. I thought she's going to have way better cardio in a 5-round fight just because she had way more experience. She's a proven veteran. And she's very underrated. And she's a lot stronger than she looks. Right? She kind of got like that old mom bod. But her boxing was way better, which I expected. I thought if she's going to be able to keep this on the feet, she's going to be able to piece up Mayra Bueno Silva pretty bad. Not only that, but she took her down plenty of times, stopped all of her submission defenses, and after that, Mayra Bueno Silva was pretty much done in that 3rd and 4th round. She went for it all. She didn't even land anything on Raquel, but all of her, energy was drained by trying to take down Raquel and trying to submit her like 5 different times, right? She tried to sink in chokes that was not even under the chin like 3 times. One time she got really close. It looked like it was under the chin, but it was just a bad angle. So Raquel pulls through finally after like a million years. And she is the new bantamweight champ, right? So she's supposed to fight Juliana Pena. Man, I mean, that's where this division is at. Not the best competition, but hats off to Raquel for hanging in there and continue to train hard and yeah, I thought this was her time to take that belt against Mayra. So she did that. So we won a good bet there, plus 140. Next fight, Strickland versus Dracus Duplessis. I actually had Strickland winning this fight. I thought he would have a significant boxing advantage and 5-round experience, cardio advantage. But wow, Dracus Duplessis, I mean, I was impressed by his cardio and his power, and it's just his overall strength. This guy's in excellent condition. When I saw them like facing off, I saw how much bigger Dracus Duplessis looked, and I was like, holy shit, he looks way bigger than Sean Strickland. So I did not like that. Dracus actually got pieced up, and his eye got so swollen he couldn't even see in that second round. But then actually in the third round, he came through with some, really good strikes. Ended up cutting Sean Strickland, right? Backed up Strickland pretty much the whole fight. He looked much better than any other fights we've seen. Cardio-wise, he's looked much better since that Robert Whittaker fight, since his nose surgery. So, apparently that worked. He's got very, in previous fights he looks very awkward in his striking, but this fight he actually looked way more technical. He was way more calculated. In that, fourth and fifth round, the third and fourth round, he was able to come through. And he was able to back up Sean, landed some good elbows that cut up Sean, landed some good, crosses and overhands and hooks. Took down Sean pretty easily a couple times, although he couldn't keep him down. But I'm just impressed he was able to continuously go for those takedowns, and during crucial rounds too. So I think those takedowns were huge in helping him win. But yeah, I was impressed by Dracus Duplessis' fight, his cardio, his power, and his ability just to kind of pull through. That was a huge win for Dracus. If I can do that all over again, would I still take Sean Strickland? Yeah, probably. I feel like Sean didn't fight as well as he could have, and I thought Dracus fought the best he's ever fought. So, yeah, I would probably still take Sean, if I could again. Obviously, after that, that performance, no, I'd take Dracus. But that's besides the point. Sean Strickland, man, I don't know. He just didn't really look like he was like in the best of shape. I've never seen him, that tired in that, what was it, like the fourth round, right? He was getting beat up pretty bad by Dracus. It was the first time I've seen him like with his arms down. Maybe just to start him, right? Maybe got to him. I know he's been dealing with a lot of post-traumatic stress and that's been all over the media. So it's probably been overwhelming and hard to train as well as he could and keep up everything as well as he could. So I hope Sean Strickland gets back in the gym. And yeah, I mean, he seems to not do so well against pressure kickboxers, well-rounded kickboxers, powerful guys, right? Like Dracus or, who else did Sean Strickland lose to? It was Jared Cannonier, right? Alex Pereira, right? So he struggles, again, with really good kickboxers who are powerful and have good cardio so far. So that seems to be his weakness. Everyone else he's been able to, completely beat up. But yeah, even Kamaru Usman way back in the day was another good pressure fighter. So yeah, but I think Sean will be back. Let's see who he fights next. But overall, I broke even on the night. I had Sean Strickland 11 units, lost that one. I had 11 units on Raquel, won that one. I had 11 units on Malott, lost that one. I had 11 units on Avloev, so I did win that one. So I did break even overall. Charles Jourdain versus Sean Woodson. If I would have watched that fight or studied that matchup, I probably would have taken Sean Woodson plus 200 and would have ended up winning. All right. But there you go, guys. That is the main event. I'll be coming out with more fight predictions pretty soon. All right. So if you guys like this video, hit that like and subscribe button, and keep an eye out for more UFC videos. All right. See you guys.